the poor quality of food and a lot of the toxins in our diet. I have I
Taco
won't use
Bell.
any names, obviously, but I'll give you an example. 23-year-old elite baseball player. I mean, you'll know his name if I said it. No question in the world, super healthy, unbelievably, uh, timing is impeccable, right? If you can square up a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, you have impeccable timing. I checked his mercury level. You're wondering, where will we get mercury? Fish. Okay.
Fish.
Mercury level is 77 times normal
Ooh.
What?
at 23. I see it all the time, every day. Every day. I see it for regular people, celebrities, super wealthy, pro athletes, you name it, I see it. So, like, and it's consistent. We don't see a whole lot of lead anymore because that's gone out of the pipes and out of the water and gasoline and everything. But the problem is we're starting to see all these other toxins. We're starting to see this modified gluten. We're starting to see a lot of these GMOs. They're starting to say, and you don't think about, have you ever been to Europe and tasted their food?
Totally different.
You don't
Heard it's
get
way
full.
different. Yeah.
Totally
They
different.
don't even allow American food to be shipped to Europe. Like a lot of the garbage that they put in our food is indirectly slowing down our healing. And that's how I tie it back in. That's the problem. And it's a slow accumulation. So we don't heal
Mm,
as well as we should. And
damn.
then we talked about last week before, whatever it was with the marijuana, with the bone marrow. Like you put all these different things together and you say, why am I not healing like I should? None of these were freak crazy injuries. Like
Right.
an Alex Smith. Like, no, these were normal play. I mean, Cousins was dropping back. It wasn't even a crazy play.
Right.
I mean, Anthony Richardson was because he already had significant ligament injury and just he's kind of reckless how he plays. But Rogers is getting older. I get it. Both of them are a little older, but Dobbins just tore his and he was young. So it's like, you
Cam
know,
Akers.
I mean, Cam tore his and he was a rookie, maybe not rookie,
20.
but like second year.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
young.
21. Yeah.
I mean,
I,
we've already had two guys that were rookies that were college players that tore it. Muhammad Ibrahim, the kid that dislocated
Yep.
his hip, he tore it in college, and then one of the Vikings running backs. But it's crazy, like these soft tissue injuries, and we're seeing all this stuff. It's just. I'm sure the turf plays a little bit of a role. Hard to say exactly what it is. And people are like, well, it didn't happen on the turf. But you got to understand that ligament or tendon, depending on what you're talking about, slowly wears down over time.
Right.
And
Right.
then it's just the straw that breaks the camel's back that you see. But think of it as a rope that's fraying. You can't see it fray. You may feel it. The player may feel it, but it's very subtle. And then
Right.
all of a sudden it goes from handling a force to torn, not handling a force. That's it. You can't go back.
That's
You know,
that's
crazy.
my point about the Taco Bell joke that I make. That's what I mean, though. It's the food that we're eating nowadays, along with the weed and the bone marrow stuff and all that. It's like there's no way this is just what we grew up on. I'm trying to figure out, like, I've been hearing, because I'm a fish and seafood guy, and I'm like, I've heard tilapia is just like crazy. There's a new way they're raising these things out here, and they're farm raising them. They're not even coming from our oceans no more. And I'm
yeah,
sitting,
no, we don't know where they're coming from.
yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know where this stuff's coming from. And I'm like, and then we're trying to fake chicken now and trying to come
Oh,
up
no,
with that.
no. Chicken ain't even chicken, bro.
Like, what are we doing to ourselves? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, our worst enemy is our own damn government. But that's a
Yep.
whole nother
Well,
How's the shit getting improved? That's the crazy thing.
I'm going to leave you all. So most people thinking, well, I can just get a simple blood test and check my levels of heavy metals. Unfortunately, that is just a snapshot of what your blood is showing at that time. That is not telling you how much you truly have in your body, because what it's not doing is it's going to search and say, oh yeah, you do have heavy metals. That's what we call a provocation test. So basically what you can do is you collect your morning urine, you come in, you get an IV that has a chelator, usually EDTA, which checks for lead and a bunch of others, or you can do the mercury one, which is DMPS. You do an IV of that for 20 minutes or whatever. That goes into your system, binds all the heavy metals, and then you pee them out. You collect your urine for 5 hours after, and then you send the morning to the post and say, hey, how much do I normally get rid of, and how much do I actually have in my body that is being bound to the metal, and then you pee it out. So that's called a provocation test. That's not a common test, but it is the most sensitive, the most accurate. And if you have it in your body, it will come out. If it don't have it in your body, then it's going to be low or zero.
That's
That's
kind of
it.
like when the life insurance comes, takes a piss test from you, and you got high protein, correct? Like,
But yeah, any of those things, you'd be amazed at how sensitive urine is. Like, it is crazy what you could find in urine. But that gives you an idea. I just did my personal genetic testing. I got it back yesterday. They could tell you crazy stuff. They're like, you're a good metabolizer of caffeine. Yeah, you're like, use your workout in the morning, which is not conducive to my life, but that's what it says. And there's so many things. I'm like, we have so many different things that we can utilize in our genetic chain. Like, this leads to that, this leads to that, and it basically is basically, say there's three options, A, B, C, and you have A. All right, you're perfect, no concerns. B, you got a little bit of red flag, but no big deal. C, all right, you have a lot of problems with this specific gene, and that's going to lead to increased risk of XYZ. You do that for all the genes, or the majority of the genes that we figured out, and then you get an idea of what predispositions for you that you can
Mm.
avoid. Choose A versus B. Choose this bread versus that bread. Do this to that. How well do you heal? I have one lady that we have 8 genes that code for healing, for code for detoxification. She doesn't detoxify at all. She has 2 of the 8. She,
Ooh.
she drinks. She got a hangover for 5 days. You ever heard someone that just like they just don't like just they drink it like, I can't drink. My hangover's awful. They have a detox problem.
Mm.
Now, whether that's genetic, like hers is, or that's environmental, these metals, these all these different garbage that we're putting in our body that our body doesn't know what to do with. So you put all these things together, and these guys aren't healing like they should. And I'm going to add one more level to it. We all have gut issues.
Ooh.
Okay. So the gut is the second brain. This is where our body filters and our body pulls in nutrients or doesn't pull in nutrients. And if it's not, if think of it as like a sponge that has a bunch of holes in it, all those good nutrients are just falling through because it's not good enough to catch it. We have all these bacteria and all these garbage that are messing up our system, and we can't get the nutrients that we need
Mm.
that we're getting in our food. Oh, I'm eating my vitamins through my food. Well, what if you're not absorbing them?
Mm.
The
It
most
don't
common
matter.
vitamin you could think of, vitamin C. The average uh, rate of absorption is 18%. 18%.
That's wild.
That's vitamin C.
That's wild.
That's
God,
why I do all my stuff IV, because I don't have to worry about purity. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to absorb it or not.
man,
But you don't have to do IV.
I know
Another
IV is the
thing,
way to go.
Hey, Doc, you got me
liposomal.
over here. Like, I'm over here. I'm about to change my whole diet around. You got me over here nervous now, man. My chest
Well,
beat, my heart beats fast.
the easiest thing you can do, 2 things. Switch to liposomal, which is usually a liquid, which bypasses the stomach, and that you absorb it better. And check your vitamin D levels.
Liposomal and
Yeah, I
check
take
Liposomal.
vitamin
It's
D.
liposomal is a generic phrase for how they can make vitamins. Not all of them, but many of them. It's usually liquid. Vitamin D, vitamin C. Many of them are liposomal. And most brands are, for the most part, okay, without getting specific. But
And
that's
what
the tricky part.